Good day, all. Oh, sorry, just adjusting my camera there. So now we're on to episode 2 of my complete Doctor Who DVD series overview. And this is where I ended up in somewhat of an issue or a conundrum as to figuring out what I was going to do, because 2 of these 3 I've actually covered as part of my regular Doctor Who series overview for recent releases, but I decided with this one just to create a coherent overview of the first through to the very last or most recent release. I would include everything, which means covering 2 of these again. But if you've already seen it, just skip through or whatever. But anyways, so starting off in the last episode, we were looking at the Reign of Terror, one of the many historicals that really characterized a good portion of William Hartnell's tenure as the Doctor. And that was followed up with another historical, which I've looked at recently, the Aztecs. Been released twice. This is the 2003 release. This is the newer 2013 release. So this one, just a basic 4-part story, although in terms of First Doctor stories, this one usually tends to be ranked relatively high. And the Aztecs, the original release, was actually the first William Hartnell DVD to actually see release, at least in Region 1, followed shortly thereafter by the Dalek Invasion of Earth, which I'll be covering in another part. Actually, I think that's coming up in the next part. So anyway, so yeah, here we have the Aztecs. So yeah, like I said, I've already done a rather extensive video on that one, so I won't go into it too deeply. So then we'll go on to the next one, where we're leaving the historicals and we're going back into science fiction space adventures, the Sensorites. And this was actually my first exposure to William Hartnell as the Doctor. Up until this point, I hadn't seen anything really before John Pertwee's years, but back in the early 90s, I used to watch Doctor Who on a Canadian channel called YTV Youth Television, and in the late 80s, early 90s, they went through the whole run of Doctor Who a few times. They used to play it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then early 1991, they decided that they would add a second time slot at 1:30 in the morning. So I'd set my VCR for it, or actually, well, I kind of skipped over the first ones, but then I figured, well, it might be interesting to sort of see what this whole thing was about, so I just randomly started, and ended up being the first episode of the Sensorites. The story, I don't know, it's been kind of flagged as one of the, I don't know, less wonderful, I guess you could say, episodes of William Hartnell's run, but I've enjoyed it, maybe for the nostalgia factor of this being my introduction to black and white Doctor Who. But this one, like I said, it's going away from the historicals. And one thing that kind of also characterizes these early things is the early Doctor Who's, there was almost no budget to shoot these things off of. So the historicals usually looked a little bit more authentic, because they had, BBC's always been good at doing historical adventures even back in the 60s. So in terms of costumes and whatnot, it was a little better with the historicals. With the science fiction stories, those are the ones where you can really see the cardboard sets and all, which of course you can see in this one. Aztecs, the whole background you can see is clearly just a massive panoramic picture. But it sticks out a little bit more when they attempt doing alien planets and whatnot. That becomes really problematic, particularly with the web planet that I'll show in a little bit, which was probably the weakest of the Hartnell Doctor Who episodes. But anyway, so that's the Sensorites. And then, yes, this is another one that I just did a few weeks ago as part of my regular update series, Doctor Who, The Reign of Terror. So we're back to historicals, and sorry, that's my camera being grumpy. So we're back to doing historicals, and as I'd said in the previous video, out of the 6 episodes that comprise this story, only 4 of them remain. 2 of them have been lost, although they have been animated, which is what they're doing now with a lot of the old episodes. I think the magic number is the story is 50% or more complete are available in the archives. They seem to be releasing those as animations. There's a few other ones coming out later on this year, which, annoyingly enough, will probably not be included in the series because those parts will be done by then. But anyway, so we have the Reign of Terror, going back to revolutionary France in the time of Robespierre. And this one, even though it's incomplete, this has actually become probably one of my favorite Hartnell stories. And actually, to be honest, I hadn't really watched this one before it came out a few months ago on DVD. And I've watched it twice since then, and it's definitely, I'd say it's in my maybe top 25 now of Doctor Who stories, maybe top 20, possibly top 15. Not really top 10, top 15, I'll go with that. But anyway, so that's episode 3 of my Doctor Who Complete DVD series overview. And of course, you'll notice that there are some holes in here. There are episodes, especially in the run of the first, well, only in the run of the first 2 Doctors. A lot of episodes were scrapped by the BBC in the 1970s. So that's the reason for the holes. Some of them, the incomplete ones, like I said, are getting animations, and out of the other ones there have been audio releases, but I know it's every Doctor Who fanboy's dream to see all of the Lost Archive animated, but at the moment that's somewhat prohibitively expensive. But I'd say maybe someday we'll see something done, because the soundtracks do exist to all the missing episodes. But anyways, this is the end of episode 2 of my Doctor Who DVD series complete overview. So as always, thank you for watching, and have a great day.